Hey everybody, this is Lawson Leong. Welcome to MTG Budget Beats, Episode 1. Uh, this is the first deck tech we're going to be doing on this channel. Basically, the point of this channel is I wanted to just make a bunch of Magic decks, but I wanted to make them for cheap. Like, I really like budget decks. So, all the decks on this channel, for the most part, are going to have all the cards under $1. So, we're going to do like a lot of modern, like budget modern decks, and also Pauper because Pauper is a really fun format. If you don't know, Pauper is a format where all the cards are commons, or were at one point printed at the common level. So we're gonna do a lot of those. But today we're gonna do a really fun deck, Mono Green Hexproof, in Modern, also known as Build-A-Bear, also known as Bogles. Except Slippery Bogle's like $3 or something. So we're going to do a budget version of that. So let's get right into the deck tech. I'm going to start off here with 4 copies of Gladecover Scout. This is the best hexproof guy in the deck because he's a 1/1 hexproof for 1. Every bit as good as Slippery Bogle, but way cheaper. But this is going to be the fastest guy you have, the fastest clock you can put on your opponent is if you drop this guy turn 1, then just build the bear from there. Put a bunch of auras on him, swing in. Uh, Next up, we have Bossar Tower Archer. He is a 2/1 for 2 green, and he has Hexproof and Reach. So, he's not as fast as Gladecover Scout or what Slippery Bogle would be. But he does have Reach, which can sometimes matter. Next up, we have 4 copies, full playset of Silhana Ledgewalker. And this, I love. She might be my favorite. She is a Hexproof elf rogue, 1/1 for 2, and she cannot uh, be blocked except by creatures with flying. So notice that she's not a flying creature herself. So a card like Clipped Wings, which like any sort of like sacrifice a flying creature type of thing, is not going to work on her. Next up, we have 2 copies of Aura Gnarlid. Uh, Gnarlid is like my favorite. It's not like a creature type. There's like 3 Gnarlids in all of Magic the Gathering, and it's just a fun word to say. Aura Gnarlid is a 2/2 for 3, and creatures powered less than Aura Gnarlid can't block him. But he also gets +1/+1 for each aura on the battlefield. So if you've got Hexproof guy with a few auras on him, this dude's like a 5/5 for 3, pretty much unblockable, Or you could just use him as a blocker as you beat him with the Hexproof guys. Uh, a lot of uses for Aura Gnarlid. He's a great guy to have in here. Let's get to the auras now. Starting at the 1-drops, we have Force Adaptation. Uh, 2 copies of Force Adaptation. I used to have a playset, but Force Adaptation, I really like this card. It's one of the things that I kind of thought, like, hey, if I just made like an all-green aura deck, budget one, this is like a good way to fast aura to get uh, some power going on the board. Every upkeep, guy just gets stronger and eventually outclass my opponent's creatures. You know. Um, After that, we're gonna go to actually this is technically a 3-drop Petrified Palladium, but I'm gonna go to it next because uh, enchanted creature gets +2/+2, but it has to spend 2 for 1 green. So this is basically uh, if you don't have Gladecover Scout on turn 1, this is like your optimal turn 1 play. Is to suspend this, and then maybe you drop a Bastard Tower Archer, Silhana Ledgewalker on turn 2, and then turn 3 this comes in and just attaches to your Hexproof guy immediately, and then you can play your 3-drops. Next up we have Sixth Sense. This is a new card out of Amaket. I really like the art too. Sixth Sense is a enchant creature. Enchanted creature has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. This is one of the better ways to get Steam in this deck that we have because drawing a card in Magic is always great. That's really as I've been building decks. And I haven't been playing for that long. It's only been a couple years, but drawing cards is one of the best things you can do in Magic. And so every deck that I make has to have some kind of way to do that to get Steam. And so this is basically, Keen Sense is like, I don't know, $2 or something, and this is 50 cents, and it's the same thing. So, get this card. This is new. as I'm recording this, I don't even have it in my deck yet. Technically, it's on pre-order, but can't wait to put this in. Next we have 2 copies of Fists of Ironwood, budget Rancor, because Rancor has dropped in price a little bit, but still over $1. This is also has the added benefit of gives you 2 sapling creatures just when it enters play, so that's good against sacrifice effects. It's good against that. It just gives trample. You know, not as good as Rancor, but we do what we can. Now we get to the 3 drops here, and we have 2 copies of Snake Umbra. For 3, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. And it also gives totem armor. So it's like 6 cents, but with a pump and totem armor. Costs 3. Slower. But the totem armor thing is pretty good. It'll save your creature in combat. Could even save it from mass removal. So that's great. And drawing a card is always good. Like I said, this was a full playset before 6 cents came out. Next up we have a playset of Boar Umbras. Gotta love these Umbras. For 3, enchant creature gets +3/+3 in totem armor. You know, +3 is a pretty big pump for this. Totem armor is great, like I just said. It's protects your creature. Next up we have my favorite card in the deck. You know, a full playset of Blanchard armor. This is why I decided to make this mono green hexproof deck a thing. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each forest you control, and you know, it's all forests in the deck. Spoiler alert for the when we get to the lands, but it's gonna be all forests. And this you could for 3 mana you could pump your guy to like +5/+5 or +3/+3 for sure, and then he'll just get bigger and bigger as you play more lands. So eventually, this is the card that lets you outclass, you know, basically everything else on the board. And the last aura here, we have 2 copies of Gigantiform. It might be Gigantiform, but I just like to pronounce it Gigantiform, because it's a 5-drop, and pronounced it the way that Monkey D. Luffy says Gigantopistol, for the One Piece nerds out there. And Gigantiform for 5. Enchanted creature is an 8/8 creature and has trample. It has a kicker for 4, and when Gigantiform enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, you may search your library for a card named Gigantiform, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So, basically, if you have 9 mana, you get 2 of these, and so you can make 2 of your guys 8/8 creatures with trample. This is the other way besides Fist of Ironwood that we're going to trample in this deck. But note that it says it turns your creature into an 8/8. So that's, you know, without the other buffs. This is a really cool card. I've been playing this with this deck. The kicker, the only reason I run 2 copies is because of the kicker, really. I mean, obviously it's a bit slow, but it comes down as a pretty good finisher because, you know, your guy can jump from being a 6/6 trampler to like a 14/14 trampler. That's it for the auras. The other card in the deck is I have 1 silver bullet copy of Fog. Prevent all combat damage. We've dealt this turn. I kind of like, in all my green decks, I like running a copy of Fog. Besides that, all we have is the lands. It's 21 forests. Simple enough. And that's the main deck. Here, let's go to the sideboard. We got, this isn't really, I mean, this could use some more touching up. I'm not really, the sideboard isn't my most thorough, but basically I got 2 copies of Prey Upon for removal, another copy of Fog, you know, 4 copies of Naturalize, destroy target artifact or enchantments, couple plummets for flyers, 1 Rogue's Passage, in case like you really need to get the damage through, and you know trample might not be enough. 2 Rapid Vigor, 1 Hunter's Ambush, which is like kind of a cool budget card for like you're playing against like any other mono not green deck, and like just like it's like could be a cool combat trick way to take them to Blowout City. And a couple other copies of Snake Umbra. The last 2 copies of Snake Umbra now are in the sideboard. Obviously you can play around with it. Anyway, my name is Lawson, and this has been MTG Budget Beats, where the decks are budget and we beat for 20.